serve.
Let's hope not.
How are you, Eddie?
Thank you.
Now,
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
good to see you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here for our March meeting. A few things on our agenda to cover tonight. I will go ahead and call the meeting to order and welcome everyone. I'll ask Mr. Hinkle if he would give us an invocation.
We'll bow our heads, please. Father God, we gather here this evening under your care and protection. Thank you for your loving kindness that never fails us. We thank you for those with us, that you would guide our thoughts and actions to bring you glory. Strengthen us and fill us with your peace. In Christ's name we pray.
Please stand as we recite our pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Council, you have your agendas in front of you. Any adjustments to tonight's agenda? Council?
Mr. Mayor, we have one from
Staff? Okay.
On the consent agenda, Roman numeral 6, specifically item number Roman numeral 6E, consider annexation AX-25-03, contiguous applicants, and it has multiple applicants. According to Andrew Ventresca, our Plan and Zoning Director, there's some timelines on things, specifically a traffic impact analysis that is not completed, and because of that, it will throw off the meeting before Planning and Zoning Board on that matter. So we need to take that item and remove it from tonight. If they get through Planning and Zoning, it'll be on next month's agenda.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Well, we also can skip the closed session, which I believe was removed.
Okay. Council, you've heard the adjustment suggestion by staff. Is there a motion to approve our agenda with the amendment?
Make that motion, Mr. Mayor, to consider the approval of the agenda.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Now. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, great. Got a pick of seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we will now consider our consent agenda. The first item on the consent is actually first three are minutes from prior meetings. We also have the amended contract for the town manager, and that would be it for our consent. Is there a motion regarding our consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Motion is made, received a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is recognitions and presentations, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Wyatt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Every month, as you all know, it's a customary practice that the department directors and I consider an employee to be our employee of the month. As you all can see by the board, it is Lou Board, who's our Human Resources Director. Just a little bit of history about Lou. He actually applied to a town for a different position. Because of his background and certain expertise, we actually offered him the position of Human Resources Director. He started that position at an appreciably lower salary than what HR people normally make, but he helped continue our HR department. Prior to him, we had Emily Watson in that role for about 6 months, as the town had not ever had that specific position assigned. But he took from the foundation that she built and continued to get us right with HR policies. As our employee status increased above the 50 mark, that puts us in a different governmental expectation and a whole litany, a list of items that we have to notify various people and make sure we are in compliance with. He has handled that. As to specifically why, and by the way, he's resigning from us. He is returning to federal government work. For some reason, he thinks that federal retirement's better than local government retirement. But why specifically was he the employee of the month in us hiring for his role to lead us as HR? We wanted a little transition period of the new HR person to make sure that they understood well what our projects and specific items that need to be handled and facilitated going forward. So we wanted them some time to work with Lou instead of it being a transition to where the position was completely vacant. In doing so, one of the questions that was asked of all the people that were interviewed, and by the way, we had over 70-some applicants for the position. But one of the questions was, you come into work on a Monday morning, you have an employee complaint in reference to a work condition with a coworker. You have to get the employee monthly luncheon schedule. You have been notified by our current insurance carrier that they will no longer be providing health insurance to any municipality or county government. You have got to get posted for two different employee position hires, and you have to go through the applicants for department director hire. All those applicants thought this was a real strong teaser question. That's actually what happened to Lou on a Monday that came into the town. So the perception that certain jobs we hold and possess are just mundane tasks are not, and very important, critical things can be dropped on our plates at any time. Those were dropped on Lou's plate, and he handled them accordingly by prioritizing what mattered most to employees of the town as the HR person, but also to our taxpayers who facilitate us being able to do our jobs. At this time, I would like to call Lou up.
Oh, you're getting the speech, Lou.
Jerry Paul, move to y'all's right just a little bit. And not to take any accolades away from Lou while you all are finishing pictures, but I see he brought his son with him, who will be joining the military this summer and going, where?
Congratulations.
Paris Island.
Congratulations.
You want to be a jarhead? It looks like his head might work out just fine to be a jarhead. But
I think it's 40.
I have this young man is in the Marine Corps ROTC program at South Iredell, and they've won numerous accolades that he has helped participate in. But we are also tickled to see one of our family members going to serve our country and the Marine Corps especially, but any branch of service. But thank you all for coming out.
Lou, we appreciate your service. You didn't have to resign in order to get the Employee of the Month, but again, we appreciate it. I remember first day coming in and Emily doing the handoff. But again, it's been a pleasure seeing you develop that department and being able to fulfill it to the best of your ability for this town. And so we thank you for that. And from one Marine Corps to another, young man, don't pay attention to what he says. So, so he's been to Paris Island. He understands. But again, thank y'all so much. Appreciate it.
I just want to say, Mr. Mayor, that we had gotten to a place in town where, as the town manager mentioned, we had grown to where we were in desperate need of an organized personnel department, human resources, whatever name you want to put with it. And I want to thank you for coming in and taking on that role, learning as you went, and turning that important position with this town into something that put us into the 21st century, so to speak. Something where people, our employees can go and seek redress if need to, or just sit down and talk. And we know that personnel issues, which are so important this day and time, are being handled correctly. And I personally want to thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is new business. And the first item is to consider annexation request AX 2501 contiguous applicant Sterling Properties of Mooresville, 49.62 acres. The PIN is 474-101-4288 Autumn Leaf Road. I will now open this public hearing. Turn it over to our planning director, Mr. Van Treska.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we do have an annexation request tonight. The property you see on your screen, outlined in red, it's located on Autumn Leaf Road, between Autumn Leaf Road and the Quail Haven subdivision. It's approximately 50 acres. It is owned by Sterling Properties in Mooresville. It's zoned RS, or Suburban Residential District. It is in the ETJ. As part of this request, there is no request for a zoning change, meaning the uses and the density that are currently allowed on the site will not change. It is a contiguous request. It would be developed as is, as I had mentioned, and staff does recommend approval of this annexation. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions you may have.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Van Treska?
I have one. Same one I asked you Monday. What was the suburban residential? What is the density?
Density is half-acre lots. Minimum lot size is a half acre, so no more than 2 units per acre.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for the question, and for those in the audience and those that may be watching tonight that didn't hear our pre-agenda briefing Monday, I would just like to add that by annexing into the town, it does not change the density level per your question, but it is something that could build by right or by being in our town limits. The neighborhood actually has more features to it, such as curb and guttering, green space requirements that go along with that. Even though it's under the threshold of the high density units, it does not change the density that they could build on their own without being in our town limits.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, great, thank you. Anyone here from the public like to comment on this annexation request? Okay. Hearing none, I will now close this public hearing. Council, you've heard from Mr. Van Treska regarding the annexation of this property. Please consider ordinance 0325, titled An Ordinance to Extend the Corporate Limits of the Town of Troutman, North Carolina, AX 2501, and the applicant was Sterling Properties of Mooresville. Is there a motion regarding this ordinance?
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion.
You got it, Paul. You got it.
Paul made the motion. Thank you. And second, Mr. Jaruzelski. Okay, thank you. Any other question or comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is another annexation request, AX 2502, non-contiguous. Applicant is John Lambert, 0.3902 acres, and the PIN is 473-059-1086, located at 142 Scott Irish Lane. I will now open this public hearing, turn it over to Mr. Van Tresca.
Thanks again. This is our second and final annexation request of the night. This property is located on Scotch Irish Lane, which is in the Meadow Glen subdivision off of State Park Road. This is a voluntary annexation. Property is about 4/10 of an acre. Zoning again is rural, suburban residential, or RS. Water is requested on this one, and as you recall, town policy states that if somebody requests town water or sewer, they must annex into town. This one is non-contiguous. It's also in the ETJ currently, and they plan to just build a single-family home on site using town water. And staff recommends approval of this one as well, and I'll open it up for any questions.
Okay, any question for Mr. Van Tresca? Okay. Anyone here from the public like to comment regarding this
Come to the microphone.
annexation?
Come to the
Yep.
microphone, please. If you have not signed in, please do so.
I have, sir.
And please state your name.
Good afternoon, council. Thank you for hearing me. My name is Joseph Alamo. I live adjacent to this property at 138 Scotch Irish Lane. And my concerns are is zoning one single piece of property in a 148 house neighborhood into annexing into the city. How does it affect me and my several neighbors that are here with me on the same block? I don't mind that the man has water or whatever, but I don't know what else he's trying to configure, because I know this lot myself. I've lived there for 24 years. I know there's a lot of bad fill on the lot that was never permitted to put in years ago, and it's not his fault, but it's there. And building a house there is gonna cost a lot. But if he's just asking for water and he's not asking for sewer, I mean, everybody deserves water. I don't really have a question, but I don't know if annexing one lot in a residential neighborhood that has almost 150 houses in it is justifiable in reality for one lot.
Yeah, so I don't know that it impacts any of the other homes in there unless anyone in the neighborhood also requests to be annexed to get the other services from the town. But I'll turn it over to the staff to maybe answer that question in a little bit more detail.
Thank you. Joseph, I'm sorry I didn't get your last name, so I hope I don't offend you by calling you Joseph.
Alamo.
Alama?
Alamo.
Alamo, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. To answer part of your question, years ago, the town's policy was when neighborhoods was built, and this is one of those, that people could get water from the town and stay in the county. The town of Troutman, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.5 years ago, adopted similar policies of our neighbors, Statesville and Mooresville, that we will not allow that to continue. For them to get town water, even though it runs right across the lot, they would have to actually annex into the town limits. So in this situation, most of your neighbors already have the water and are just paying outside rates. This gentleman would like to do the same thing. However, it does not fit our policy. As to your comment about field dirt being put in and all that, the county still has to approve the septic system. That's not us or a cross that we bear. So before any construction can take place, all those permits have to be successfully obtained from the county before building could occur.
Okay, so I understand the water runs across the street from this gentleman's property, which mine does too, but they put a tap in when my house was built 24 years ago, and he doesn't have a tap. That being said, may I ask you personally, Mr. do I need a permit to have a perk test for a septic?
Yes. If it's a septic system in Iredell County, it is not only statute, but it is code that they have to sign off on any septic system that is being built for a new house construction. Now, I say that, there are some exceptions to where there's lots of acreage, and if people do a homemade septic system for an outbuilding, for example, there are certain circumstances that those can be excluded.
Yes,
But
sir.
for a residential dwelling, yes, they're supposed to be permitted from the county.
Okay, I might have phrased this wrong, I apologize. So before I do any digging for a perk test, do I need a permit?
No, sir.
No,
No, sir.
okay.
The digging to see if it's gonna be workable or not, the county, more so than ever, are statistically telling people they need a soil scientist, or engineer to sign off on the property. So a lot of people are going ahead and doing that prior to going to the county to get a septic permit. That way they have it in hand, and they can say, here's the report, it's already done, and then pay for the septic permit at that time.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that, and I would like to also put on record at this point in time that there have been several different 4 and 6 that I could date and improve with my security cameras, perk tests, and for some reason, the last one passed last week, or whatever they said it passed, and the gentleman that was doing the perk test said, I could put as much fill dirt on top of a septic system or a leach field as I want. And I know for a fact, as a former builder, that's not true. So if you have to dig down 8 foot to hit virgin soil for a septic system, which a septic system has to be in virgin soil, everybody knows that, just as much as your slab, and your leach field as well, and we have a 40-foot setback, every house in the neighborhood over there, well then I think the house should comply with the rest of the neighborhood.
If there's existing deed restrictions similar to what you said, those should be adhered to. We as a town don't enforce deed restrictions, but we do issue building permits if it meets all the other criteria. And again, I'm not trying to circumvent your question or your expertise, but when it comes to septic tank systems or septic systems at all, that's strictly through the county and not the town. They are supposed to stop them from being built. That does not mean that every septic permit they've issued has worked to 100% the way they're supposed to. And there's a lot of folks around the lake especially that are having to go back and fix these because they were failed systems as you described.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time. I appreciate all your time.
Yep, thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else like to comment on this annexation request? Okay, you please come up and state your name and sign in.
If you haven't signed in, please do so, and then state your name for the record, please.
Okay, so I just have, primary question is, most of my neighbors, we all have septic systems, and we just wanna make sure that he's not requesting, sewer, because we have, okay.
He is not.
We have no interest in.
We do not have sewer available in that area. Now, having said that, give you the whole truth, people can get sewer if they're in the town limits and they're willing to pay to get it there. The cost to have sewer put there, no way that it would be town sewer.
Okay, and if that issue was, if he was requesting at some future date, what would I need to look, you said the county has controlled that. Where would I have to lodge, because we got the newsletter saying this was on the,
Agenda.
agenda.
Yes, sir.
Where would I find information regarding the county's agenda? Or do they hold public meetings?
Well, they do, but in this specific case, if you're asking about the information, permits, septic permits, things of that nature, it's through their website, and they would not discuss that at any meeting. It's through their office up there.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What's your name?
Andrew Sinnet, S-I-N-E-K.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Come up.
Please,
I have one question. It's more clarification because I'm trying to understand exactly what this means.
please sign in and state your name.
I will. I'm Michelle Harper. I live at 145, like, right across the way from that house that's being built. So when you're annexing, and I just want to double check and make sure, just because I think there was some confusion, and I'm not trying not to look at y'all.
You may not want to, but that's okay.
So basically, when you annex someone in, because the policies have changed, is from what I'm hearing from you,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So that doesn't mean that our whole entire subdivision is now in city limits.
No,
No,
just what's in the red square.
that's it. Yep.
And so if he requests sewer, I think that was a concern of a lot of us, if
Hmm.
sewer comes in, are we gonna have to pay hookup fees and?
Only if you want it.
Somebody's gonna have to write a check that the town
No,
can't
I
even
don't
write.
want them
Yeah.
to pay more.
Right, no, yeah.
You would be grandfathered in. You'd be
Okay.
grandfathered in.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, I think that was the concern we had when we saw this in the newsletter, is that, you know.
We were gonna force you to have sewer. No,
we
it's
can't.
okay.
And if I
Yes,
may
sir.
also add, almost 2 decades ago now, the towns could involuntary annex properties. In the state of North Carolina, the town cannot do that. Just because this person is requesting to be in the town limits, that does not change any other property, nor does it mean in the future you're gonna be annexed, has nothing to do with that.
Okay, I
And
just
by-
wanted to clarify that.
Yes,
To
ma'am.
make sure that we weren't changing to a different police station and fire group and all that that's already serving us currently.
The rest of the neighborhood, if everybody called 911, the rest of the neighborhood, it would be the sheriff's office to
But if he
respond.
called, it would be.
It would be the police. Now, technically and realistic, the way things are practical, if everybody called 911, our police is showing up because they're the closest.
Right.
But to answer your question, everybody else is gonna have county services, including trash, leaf and limb pickup. If the council approves his annexation, he can put his trash can out, that's part of his taxes. We would pick up his leaf and limbs, but we will not pick up nobody else's.
Okay, thank you so much, I appreciate that, I just wanted to
All right.
clarify that.
Great.
To make sure I.
Great questions from all of you. Thank you
Yeah,
for coming.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lott.
Any other questions regarding this annexation request? Yes, ma'am, come on up. Please state your name and sign in.
One question that I want clarification on. Because the town of Troutman.
Please,
Ma'am, I'm not
please
trying
state
to
your name.
interrupt you, but please sign in if you hadn't already, and then state your name.
I'm sorry, what?
My name is Sarah Dunson. And apparently this gentleman that wants to annex his lot to the town of Troutman is because the statutes changed with the town of Troutman. Is that correct?
It's our policy, not the statute, but yes, ma'am.
It's a policy.
Yes, ma'am.
And that is the reason he really is wanting this lot annexed.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I have no clue what it would cost to drill a well at today's prices, but the lot being .39 acres, and just like the one gentleman testified earlier, with fill dirt being there, I would presume they have already figured out, one, that digging a well, having well water and a septic system on the same lot would not work. So the only way he could build a house there is to get town water. We're not gonna provide it to him as an outside of town citizen.
Well, does Troutman have a certain distance from the house that the septic system has to be?
That's up to the county, and we do not. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But it has to stay within that lot. I'm sorry for interrupting.
That's okay.
But that septic system has to remain within that lot
Yes.
for them to continue with the building permit. Meaning he couldn't put tail lines on a neighbor's property or something like that.
Well, I don't know, but is the gentleman expected to pay? Because I assume it's my water where I am that would go across to his lot. Is that gentleman gonna have to pay the city to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
So that would be the only way he could get water.
I honestly don't know the engineering of where the water lines are,
Yeah.
but if you are correct, he would have to pay for that tap to get the water put in.
Under, I guess, under the street.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I needed to know.
Most welcome. Thank you for your question.
Anyone else?
I'm so sorry, because that brings up a question. So if they're gonna have to.
Excuse me,
drill
ma'am.
under the street-
Please state your name again.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Michelle Harper.
Okay.
If they have to drill under the street, what about, so it's a cul-de-sac, you can see right there. How are we gonna be obstructed getting out of the house? Like children getting to school?
No.
No, ma'am. Typically, if they have to cross the street, they actually do not bore under the street. They would dig the street up, and it's a matter of a couple hours.
Okay, so would not disrupt people going to work? Yeah.
Well, I can't tell you it won't disrupt you all. I
Right,
can just tell
But
you,
you'll still be able to like,
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
just
Yeah.
thinking about the time, like if my daughter, she's a senior, she goes to school, will she be able to drive there? Or if I have to go somewhere?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
You would
it-
still have ingress.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to just
Sorry.
jump up, but I
Okay.
wanted to make sure that we had access since it is a cul-de-sac and does not go, like there's no throughs way.
All right.
Get out.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
My apologies, one more time. My name's Joseph Alamo again. So if the gentleman has to pay for the water tap to come up under the street, which we all know is on the south side, and she lives directly across the street from me, how does he benefit, or what are the benefits from annexing in if he's gonna have to pay for the water tap anyway? That's what I'm not understanding.
That gets into things that council and I really can't answer because we don't know all the facts. I would presume, as I said to two ladies ago, that there's already been some exploration and they have determined that they couldn't drill a well and have a septic tank on the same lot. So if they're truly wanting to build, that would be the advantage. Now they can get water even though it may cost more than what a conventional well would.
I understand. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to close this public hearing. Council, you've heard from staff as well as some of the community neighbors regarding this public hearing. We will now consider ordinance 0125, an ordinance extending the corporate limits of the town of Troutman non-contiguous. This is Mr. John Lambert on Scott Irish Lane. Is there a motion regarding this ordinance?
Make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a second? Motion is made. Receive the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the, excuse me, yeah, thank you. All those in favor say aye. I think I did.
5-0.
Yeah, yeah. You're all right. We will consider appointment of Ms. Jacqueline Crouch to the Planning and Zoning Board. Mr. Wyatt?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council. Jacqueline was at our Monday agenda briefing meeting. You all got to speak to her, and just for the public's knowledge and to remind you all, this is for inside our town limits as an alternate position. That position is vacant because the previous person that held it is now an active member of the board because of the resignation previous.
Thank you. Appreciate Ms. Crouch volunteering. I think we talked about pay the other night. She agreed to the pay. So, council, you had an opportunity to meet Ms. Crouch. Any questions before we vote? Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we appoint Jacqueline Crouch to the Planning and Zoning Board as an inside alternate member.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you.
We'll work out that pay schedule later.
The next item is public comments. public is invited to address the council with any comments or concerns. Anyone like to comment to council? Please state your name and sign in.
Jeremy Shaw. I am here to say, you guys want to, okay, sorry. I'm here to let you guys know that we have finally expanded the Troutman Cedar Stump, and we are now providing subs throughout the town and sandwiches. I brought my chef in, Mick Stevenson. He's actually from California. He moved here to be closer with his family. And sorry that I look like I just got off the docks. I did. If I stunk up the room with diesel gas and two-stroke smoke, I got here as quick as I could. But the Deli Llama is what we call this guy. He actually made some subs. So we wanted to bring him in for everybody to try. And we just want to let you guys know that we're open regular hours right now. And next Thursday, or this coming up Thursday, we hope to be open for lunch. So we brought the cold cuts in. Now, if you want to get the melts, you have to come in to do that. But we try to come in right at 7, so they'll still be cold for you. But I'm going to introduce Mick Stevenson and let him kind of tell you a little bit about himself.
Great.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Shaw.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, Council.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
So, I moved here from Sacramento, California. My daughter's gonna be a freshman at South Arundel High. I'm still getting to know my landmarks. But, I had 3 very successful delis in Sacramento, lost them all to COVID. And my family's from here, so they're like, Nick, it's time to come out. And Jeremy let me tap into his small empire, so I can't wait to show y'all. Troutman needs a sandwich you can trust.
Awesome. Awesome.
I have some samples and menus for you guys to check out, so I can't wait to get rolling next week.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's Steve. Welcome. Yeah, welcome. Absolutely. Any other public comments? Thank you. Come on up. Yes, please write your name and state your name.
And I just moved here to Troutman, in December, middle of December. And Kim Davis was wonderful. I am loving Troutman. Thank you so much. I
Great.
just want to
Great.
kind of bring this to
Thank you. We don't get much of that, but we appreciate it. And whatever you had to pay Kim, just let us know.
Feel free to come back every meeting.
Yeah.
I have an open spot for you
Yeah,
there.
yeah, welcome. Again, great to have new people in the community and some coming back home, so great for that. Any other comments?
My apologies. No worries. I noticed there was a second, I'm sorry, Joe Stolamo again. Third time, I apologize. But there was a second number on the agenda. Did the 142 Scott Towers Lane did get annexed into the city?
Yes, sir.
So that one lot in that entire neighborhood is now within city limits and none of the other lots are?
That's correct.
I don't see how it's possible, but.
Thank you. All right, no other comments. We will move on to elected official reports. And I will start to my right tonight. Mr. Hinkle?
Welcome, Jeremy's newest business. Appreciate you
Yes, sir.
doing something with that spot. I hate to see an empty building in town, even though we're trying to fill them as fast as we can. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for bringing in a top shelf from Sacramento. Glad he decided to come back home, you know, where his roots are, and California's loss is our gain. So welcome back, sir. And,
Thank you.
so forth. I just am trying to think what, I tell you what, move on.
All right, great. Thank you. I'll come back to you, Mr. Oxford. Mr. Now?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd just like to wish all our Irish residents and people that want to be Irish, happy St. Patrick's Day next week. And something that I read in one of our local newspapers, the nation is come up with a $30 permit required to do solicitations. And I'll just summarize the whole article real quick. That they have to obtain a permit good for 6 months to solicit. What that is roofers or anybody that's looking to knock on your door and try and sell you something, they'll pay the 30. And nonprofits, including schools, churches, and charities, are exempt. The solicitation is Monday to Saturday, and it's from 10 a.m. to dusk. So if you get someone knocking on your door, I mean, I'm not saying to confront them, but ask them if they have their permit, and if they don't have it, they're illegally doing it. So I think this will help us in our community, and this is all of Iredell County. It's not just Troutman. So this will help us from people just knocking on the door bothering us. So I think it's good for our town and the county of Iredell. And just happy, nice weather's coming, and please come to our park and enjoy our town. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. White, you want to comment on that
I
article?
would like to. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Councilman. Now, we will have our town attorney to get the ordinance from them and look at our current ordinances to see if one overlaps or supersedes the other. There has been discussion previously from our town council to consider no solicitation. There are several communities with HOAs that have posted signage of no solicitation within their communities. This may be a good opportunity to allow our attorney to review what ordinance they passed that may exclude them from the town of Troutman, or our town developing an ordinance that excludes them from being able to use Troutman specifically.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Now. Ms. Harris?
Welcome to our new sheriff. I think I saw it on Facebook that we had sandwiches, so I was excited about that, Jeremy. So maybe I can join you at lunch one day. My son will also be a freshman at South Iredell too, so welcome to the town. I forgot your name, the young lady who came up and said she's new to town. Welcome. Welcome to the town. I think I saw some pink and green out there. I won't hold that against you. But welcome. We're so glad to have you here. And that's all I have.
Right, thank you. Mr. Jarozinski?
I share in the compliments the rest of the council has given with the businesses coming and expressing their interest and showing us what they're doing in the town, and also the public coming to speak. It's not always easy, but we do appreciate when they do come and speak. And thankful for a volunteer to step up on our planning board and help fill the gaps. I did have a few things I wanted to address with the council and express interest in some training hours that I had shared with all of y'all for some classes offered by the UNC School of Government. Would also like to invite any other council members that might want to join in any of those classes over the next 3 months. And on Monday, I had brought up health insurance and brought that up in discussion in the agenda briefing. And I would like to motion that we reinstate the health insurance benefits to be extended to the council as it is the rest of the town employees, along with life insurance, and that it be considered a lifetime enrollment after 8 years of continuous service, beginning at the first term of the current sitting elected officials.
Okay.
And it also to include the dependents of the council. And I believe that's very similar to the verbiage of reinstating as where it left off when it was voted away before.
Okay. Is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay. So a motion's on the floor to reinstate the health and life insurance. Is there any question at this point?
Look, caught off guard there. I thought we might, bring it up for discussion and study, and then talk about it in our budget workshop, and then perhaps make a decision at that time with the adoption of the budget. hadn't really had time to think about it beyond that, because I was, hoping that we would give the public a little chance to, hear a thing, to respond and talk to us, and then again, just think about it between now and budget workshop, and here's some numbers and so forth. So again, I'm kind of a little, I'm not against it necessarily, anything like that. I don't mean to imply that, but I thought perhaps, we would have a little bit of time to think about it and discuss it among ourselves, a little bit more length of time. So, and again, I want to assure Nick that this is no way saying I'm against it whatsoever. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I just, again, was caught a little bit surprised. That's all.
I do appreciate you bringing that up. The plan, at least as just to be offered, that the financial compensation or inclusion would be discussed at the budget, and that would allow for the time that you're requesting. But just that as we're shopping it and moving forward, that it at least be offered to the elected council. And any kind of numbers would be discussed at our budget retreat.
Well, that's, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but if we pass it tonight, then it's a foregone conclusion then that it's now offered, and, changing insurance carriers, whoever that may be, we would be a part of the staff, we'd be part of the same staff.
Mm-hmm.
The council would be, or those who elect to accept it, take advantage of it. So that was the only thing I was saying was I thought we were going to have a month or so, well, not even just a few weeks, our budget workshop to discuss it. But again, as I say, I'm certainly not against it. I understand, and this will not be the first time. As we discussed at our agenda briefing, it has been done before. It was done back in the early 1980s for a few years, and then repealed. So it's nothing new. So again, I would like to hear from the rest of us. I'm not seconding it yet. I'd be glad to second it, but I'd like to hear from some of the others before I'll make some sort of determination for tonight.
Okay. Mr. White, did you have a comment?
Yes, sir. After our pre-agenda Monday, and this came to light to consider, I have talked with Lou and a couple of our insurance carriers. Just to remind you all, we will not have pricing on any insurance for town employees or otherwise until the end of the month, possibly first week of April. I did confirm whether it be two that chooses to opt in or the whole elected body chooses to opt in. It does not change what our pricing per person will be because we're over 50. We will be in a block. So when they give us pricing, it's not a certain fee divided by 58. It will be a per person price, but because we're over 50, it does not limit us to, well, we can't go beyond 65 without a price change, for example. So that part, it does not affect the pricing at all. We just don't know what those numbers will be. The other thing I will say is with the 8-year fully invested, just to clarify, the town does not offer a carry of insurance once people leaves, except for up to a year in certain circumstances if they worked at least 20 or 25 years. If we did that, we would honestly need to consult with the attorney to see if that is appropriate wording to be an individual case, or if we would need to modify our personnel policy to where it would also extend to employees beyond certain years of service. I know the two can be done different. I'm just not positive without confirming with the attorney which way it would need to be worded to make sure it was appropriate going forward.
You were talking about a block. Over 50, there's a block.
Yes, sir.
And so if it's 50 or 60 or 65 or 70, you're saying it's still, the price for that block is still the same, or?
Per person, it is still the same.
Okay.
It is not a flat fee and divide it. It's a per person fee that they will charge us to carry insurance for a year.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
after hearing that information from our town manager, it's a block. I'd like to second Councilman Jaruzelski's motion.
Okay. So there's a motion on the floor. It has been properly second. Any other question or comment?
So I'm assuming since we have received a second, though, the ideas that Councilman Hinkle was tinkering with aren't possible?
Well, it's, if Mr. Jaruzelski wants to withdraw his motion or table it, then that would be the only way.
Okay. I do like the idea, but I just don't think this is the right time. And that's all I got.
Okay. Other comments?
I just wanted to know from Councilman Jaruzelski, is there a downside to us waiting? If we decided to wait and discuss it a little more, is there a time limit or?
If I
I would have
may,
to
to
defer.
answer your question, unless you all put a specific date, it would not begin until July 1st when we renew the policy. Is the discussion that I heard Monday. As far as the town including or excluding it, that we're in that time frame to where it wouldn't matter if you waited or it wouldn't matter to us. We just have to provide them the final numbers by the last day of May of who's going to be included in the plan so that they can register everybody. Some of the companies want to do it individually, others would do it electronically, but because it is a change, we do anticipate with staff that there's going to be some communications issues so that everybody can get the right options of plans that they're choosing, whether to include dependents, not, exclude themselves if they have insurance elsewhere, those type of things.
I
last day
agree.
of May.
Sir?
Last day of May.
Yes, last time. I agree with Paul. Nick. It's not like I don't agree with it. I just had a couple other questions, but I don't think this is the right time for me to continue to ask questions.
And I'll stress that again, I'm not saying I'm against it whatsoever, I'm just, as you said, I'm just simply saying, let's have a little bit more time, and since we're not up against some sort of deadline, a quick deadline, I can't see any harm in if Nick agrees, waiting just a few weeks, let us think about it, let us discuss it at the budget workshop amongst ourselves, and so forth, and then make a decision. That's my wish, I'll put it that way, my wish.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mr. Archer.
What are the may I ask, procedurally, what are the ramifications of a no vote? If this is voted, if this motion does not pass?
In terms of it not passing,
Are there any
yeah, I don't,
statute of limitations, or it can't be brought back?
No.
yeah,
It can be brought back up, but somebody on the side that, well, actually, in this case, I apologize. It can be brought back up at the next meeting
exactly.
by any one of you.
Because it's policy, right?
Whether you voted for it or not.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to reiterate too, is there not being a timeline? I do understand that, except for the May 1st deadline, I think I heard,
End of May.
or end of May, that this isn't a decision that is going to cost the town or the council any money at this point. It's just to move forward with it so that we can discuss it further budgetary and what's going to be reserved for it and who's going to join on to it. So that I think it gives clear direction to staff to our intentions, instead of waiting till the last minute or last month.
I'm sorry, I missed something. What part did I miss? Okay.
Would you interpret, if this motion is voted down, would you exclude this potential parameter in any searches or any inquiries with pricing or anything with the new insurance? Is that?
We would continue exploring unless you all say, no, it's a dead issue, we're not going to do it. We would continue exploring, and to Council Lady Harris's point, she had questions. There's some of those that either I or Lou can answer directly, if you all will send us the email. And again, as Councilman Hinkle said, during our strategic planning session and/or the budget workshops. We also can discuss it at both places then, as you all have other questions for us to go seek and find. So even if it fails tonight as a vote, we can still consider the options, or you could simply just amend the motion to be considered at next month's meeting, either way.
So there'll be no hardship on staff as far as planning for the budget if it were not, or if the motion were withdrawn or we voted against it, and then re-bring it up, again, as you said, to workshop or strategic.
Correct. The only thing I would say is if it is something to be considered that goes into effect with our insurance carrier change, a decision would need to be made by the end of May.
End of May, right.
Other than that, I don't see any issues or concerns with us continuing to explore all the various questions and the options. If we waited till after May, I can't promise if we did it in June, we would be able to add people or not. But definitely after the policy has stated, I will confirm with our carriers, but as it is block bid, it shouldn't be an issue, and we should, worst case scenario, November, y'all decide. It would just be like adding new employees. Just to
Okay,
clarify.
thank you. Mr. Jaruzelski, would you be opposed to tabling it till next month?
No.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to table until next month?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
A second.
Motion is made to table the issue until next month. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Jaruzelski?
Motion to adjourn?
Not
No,
yet.
not yet.
Not yet. We'll hold that, we'll table that one for a little bit. Again, just to restate a couple of things that council members made. Again, appreciate, oh, Mr. Archer, you were talking so much earlier, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Archer.
Jerry's like, what am I, chopped
Yes.
liver?
Mayor, I have one question. So you're withdrawing your motion?
No.
Okay, so you're just tabling your motion.
Yes.
Yes.
The maker of the motion can move it.
He didn't make that motion. I did.
It's still.
Okay,
Still
all right,
tabled, yeah.
okay. Is it my turn?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, see, I told you.
Well, that was a fun meeting.
We're not done yet.
Yeah, yeah, I am. I'm done. No, it's good. Yeah, it was. This was fun. I like meetings like this. It was educational. It was. I learned stuff. I think a lot of people that came and asked questions learned some stuff. It's always great to hear of businesses doing new things in town, but a ringer, dude. You had to bring in a ringer.
A ringer?
A ringer?
Oh, a ringer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's a ringer.
All right.
Wait till y'all can sample my sandwiches. I know you guys are hungry.
I'm filibustering the sandwiches. No, I'm kidding. No, it's great. It's great to have you. It's great to have you. And that's if there's anything we can do, let us know. And he knows how to find us all. So, Good. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Vic, as long as you don't bring the governor. Leave him
Yeah.
out there. Leave him out there.
No, but it's good. It's good. Yeah, look forward to seeing some events in the park. I see Dirt's been moving again in the park, so that's a good sign. I think that's going to be a great addition to what we got going on there, and I can see it. I didn't quite see it when I first saw it on paper a few years ago, but it's like, okay, maybe this will work. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, but thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Right, thank you. Just to restate, just some of the comments from council members. Again, on Monday night, wishing all the women International Women's Day celebration. Again, appreciate all that women do, both for our community, our homes, and our town. Also, just to mention that, again, appreciate all the input from neighbors who may or may not live in our town, but to provide some feedback and concern in a civil and constructive manner. So again, I appreciate that each time. I also want to mention that, again, I enjoyed Sprint in the Spring, being out there. It was a beautiful day that the staff dialed up a great day for a run. Not that I didn't say I did it, but it was awesome. And I have a check here from the Rotary Club for their 4th installment of number 5 for the scoreboard. So one more, and hopefully we'll have that scoreboard completely paid off. But it's a $4,000 check from the Rotary Club. So again, great work in the park and partnerships by community organizations. Many of them were at the Sprint in the Spring as well. And so, again, it's good to have those folks who are part of our community, want to help improve our community as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Wyatt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council, and just to reiterate a couple points you all made, I appreciate all those that come out tonight, whether they chose to speak on a topic or not, and to the mayor's point, being cordial and respectful goes a long way. Sometimes we in government know what we're doing and why, but sometimes the citizens just have simple questions, and I appreciate them showing up to ask and being told in a forum that is recorded what those answers are. And as I met with a group of senior citizens, mostly, they were not all, today at Troutman Baptist Church, it is awesome that various groups or individuals ask for meetings with us from the staff from time to time and elected officials to come and speak to them about various things happening in our community and why. Our planning and zoning director, Andrew Ventresca, had been out to this particular group a couple times. I learned today that his real name is Andy and not Andrew. Several of the citizens was calling him.
That's a falsism.
But it was good to be out there, just like the commentary tonight from those in attendance, to ask clarifying questions. Unfortunately, folks on the social internet media outlets sometimes say things for whatever reason. They may think they're being helpful, but they don't know what they're speaking from. And no offense to welcome home neighbor from California, but what another state does, or even what another county does, and sometimes even what one of our neighboring municipalities does, is not necessarily an ordinance or practice that we follow in the Troutman community. So I think it is good that we have commentary and questions to find out what the process is. It still amazes me how many citizens think that we as a town can just go and annex their property like what used to happen a couple decades ago. But I am thankful for all of that. I am sorry that we're losing Lou as an employee, but I think we have a great replacement coming that will do us a fine job, and then expound on the foundations that Emily and then Lou built in our HR department. I also would like to give kudos to those who stopped and talked to our employees who were mowing today. I just want to say and ask, please be cautious. If they're on a lawnmower, it's cutting grass, and if you stop them to ask questions, there is that moving motor that occurs. But a lot of citizens were excited that our staff was mowing and weed eating starting yesterday afternoon and today. And of course, they are busy. They try to be very respectful of those that are using our parks and or greenways when they are mowing. But I caution everybody, if you see that lawnmower, now's not the best time to ask that person a question. Feel free to come by town hall, call us, and we will address your questions and or concerns. But if they're out there on equipment, please let them go with their equipment. But it was good to see them out. I was aggravating Emily later this afternoon, telling her I've never seen so many happy people to be mowing. But as I passed her employees, I think every one of them was smiling every time I drove by. So they were excited to be outside with the warm weather too. But thank you all very much, and thank all of you that came to tonight's meeting.
Great. Anything else?
No,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah, I apologize for interrupting you there. I wanted to say, your fourth installment donation from Rotary Club, Fine Club, and some other things that I've heard this and read this week. One of our other civic organizations here in town, in fact, all three, Rotary, Exchange, and Ruraltown. And I am tickled to death because I can remember it hadn't been just a few years ago, we were wishing we had active clubs to take over some things that the town's been having to do that are normally handled by civic organizations in other communities. So I am glad and that they're active, especially not just existing and maybe meeting once or twice a month and nothing else, that they are actually out doing fine things. And Ruraltown is, I understand, helping Lifespan, and I think they did some work over at my sister's house, and they did the situation with Helene back in late September or October with the gathering of supplies to send up to western North Carolina. And of course, the Rotary's been around for a long time and helped out in a big way with our park and continue to help out in all sorts of ways, especially at Christmas time. And Exchange Club is coming on board. And they were even, I attended a little event Friday afternoon at the courthouse in Statesville. Event there at the Exchange Club of Troutman was sponsoring the little get-together after the event there at the courthouse. So even though that was in Statesville, they were up there helping out as well. So they're not just limiting themselves to Troutman, even though that's very important. But, so I just want to thank these organizations, all the members, and wish them the best, and please continue on.
If I may also add, and I appreciate Councilman Hinkle pointing out, but just for a lot of people, and again, I apologize, sometimes when we have talked about things in our previous meetings, I just assume everybody knows it because we already discussed it. But our park would not exist today if it were not for a lot of partners, but the Rotary Club of Troutman in particular, our Fit Trail behind Town Hall, back when I was a Rotarian, along with Councilman Hinkle, a lot of us helped install those, and the Rotary Club's been a long-term partner in making sure this park has come to fruition with the various things. That scoreboard out there was very expensive, and as you said, the fourth installment being $4,000, simple math, that was a $20,000 contribution they made so that we could have scoreboards and people enjoy the ball fields. But as Councilman Hinkle also said, our other clubs are doing extraordinary as well, and it tickles me to see that we have the vibrancy with volunteerism that folks are wanting to join, in some cases, multiple clubs, but at least one of those three, and I'm not discounting the churches that show up regularly to support staff and or police officers with various thank you gifts and or food, just like Jeremy showing up tonight to bring food to us. Some of these folks has figured out how to make us smile for sure.
Great. Ms. Page, before we close.
I just want to invite everyone to the Towns Craft Expo this weekend at South Iredell High School from 9 to 3, at which Ruritan Club is doing a chicken dinner fundraiser. So we would love for you to come out and have lunch with us from 11 to 2 and enjoy all the wonderful crafts that Emily probably told you to announce in
She did, and I did. Point that out to everybody, Debbie.
We're going to add Debbie to staff to make sure she keeps Mr. White straight. Thank you for that. So Saturday morning from 9 to 3? And 11 to 2. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Before we get to taste Mr. Shaw's sandwiches, again, appreciate everybody being here tonight and bearing with us. Ms. Carter, I saw some exchange between you and Ms. Harris. I'll leave that for another conversation. As an alpha man, we'll talk about that at a later time. So thank you for that. But thank y'all. Mr. Jaroszewski?
Untable the motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition? You're welcome to the stage. Jeremy might have a sandwich for you, so thank you.